Basically, he said about this game, Star Wars Outlaws, and he said actually that he really enjoyed it. So I came across this as well. Is Star Wars Outlaws worth buying? I'm going to watch this guy, and maybe I will give it a go.
No. You're welcome for saving you money.
Okay, well, that was a great review. I most probably won't buy it, and I'll try and find something else to do. I'm joking. Let's check out why. He says no. Fairly clear reason there not to buy it.
Go ahead and dive into the weeds of it a little bit, but I'll be clear up front. I haven't finished this game and don't plan on finishing it either.
Alright.
I always approach games with an open mind, even ones that I have very low expectations for, like Star Wars Outlaws. Darman always taught me, never judge a book by its cover. But this book reads exactly like the cover told me it would. Generic, dull, open-world Ubisoft experience. Or really lack thereof an experience. Ubisoft is like the Ed Gein of gaming companies. They just keep putting different skin on the same formula. First it was Avatar with Frontiers of Pandora, now it's Star Wars with Outlaws.
Ubisoft are in big trouble. Yeah, I heard you. They did a game, didn't they? Or they've got a game coming out where there's from when World War II happened and one of the nuclear bombs went off. There was like this gateway that had been almost completely destroyed, but half of it was still left standing. And the people at Ubisoft thought it was a good idea to take this symbol, of a monument, of historical monument, and use it as a promotion to try and sell the game. And it has got huge backlash. And Ubisoft have pulled out from going to the conventions. They've pulled loads of different things from it, from what they had planned. They've really messed up. This is on top of another game that Ubisoft, I think it was Ubisoft had, called Concord, and PlayStation pulled that after 2 weeks and refunded everybody. So Ubisoft are not doing well. And what he just said a second ago, lots of people are now saying that basically a lot of their games are very generic and just feels like a reskin of the same old thing, just recycled over and over and over again, and that Ubisoft are just not doing anything creative anymore. So yeah, I mean, Ubisoft are in real trouble, like you're saying, yeah.
And it's just so exhausting. I'm only a handful of hours into this game, and I just can't see myself pushing through to finish it. It's just tedious. And oftentimes, just for the sake of being tedious. For example, when you're hacking into a door, splicing it, you do a tiny little rhythm mini game for the lock picking. And that's fine, like that's kind of cute.
Just like Starfield.
But then after you rhythm game lockpick that door, you then have to do it to the door 3 steps ahead of you. And then you have to do it for the container 4 steps ahead of you that you were supposed to do for the mission to get the item out of it.
Wow.
So you go back to back to back lockpicking rhythm mini games, and you do this so many times so early in the game that you immediately just hate it.
They do that to make the game last longer. Yeah, it's a unimaginative way to pad out a game that hasn't got a lot in it. I'm not saying that's for this game. I'm just saying it's a technique that developers will do. They'll give you lots of little mini games that will make the game take longer to complete. Not because it makes the game better, but just because it makes people play the game for longer. So, which I don't agree with. Why not try and make the game really great so people want to play it, rather put people in a situation where they have to play for longer because that's just what you're forcing them to do.
Now, I've seen quite a few other reviewers saying they ended up just turning it off, because that is one of the things you can do. You can just turn off the lock-picking minigame.
I will do that
I
then.
guess the developers recognize that shit sucks, and I think that's the optimal way of playing, because for some reason it almost feels like they're padding for time. You have to do so much of it, like from the very beginning for some reason.
I think I'd leave it on at the beginning, have it in, do that, and then once you start getting tedious, turn it off and just carry on playing the game. It's not something to get upset about, I don't think. If you can turn it off, it's not. If the game developers force you to have to do it for the entire duration of the game and you have no choice, then yeah, I could see that being an issue and people getting ticked off with it. But if you can turn it off, once you get bored, turn that aspect off and just carry on with the game.
But anyway, I've seen a lot of people insulting this game, like just clowning on it, dunking on it for the complete absence of facial animations and lip syncing. So there's cutscenes and dialogue where characters, they don't move. They don't emote or gesture or anything. They just like telepathically communicate and their mouth doesn't move. It's like if you went to a ventriloquism act and the guy working the dummy doesn't do this with the mouth. It is weird, it's off-putting, but that's also like the least of my problems with this game.
Oh.
The main gripe I have with it is just how generic and boring it is.
Okay.
Like, I can't even say it's necessarily a bad game, because I have no doubt there are people that will appreciate just getting fed the exact same pile of shit for the 50th time from Ubisoft. Like, it becomes comfort food at that point from the show.
You did enjoy it. Okay. How many, so there's 12 of you now in chat, how many of you in chat actually have played the game, and how many enjoyed it? So if you played the game, put a yes or no, and I'll tally it up while watching.
So I know there's going to be people that actually enjoy it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I am so tired of this same game getting pushed out from Ubisoft. Like, I don't think this game is unplayably awful, it's just mind-numbingly boring and uninteresting.
Okay, so out of all of you here now, three of you played the game, 2 of you said no, and 1 said yes. Not a good ratio, but I mean, it's only 3 people, so.
The story is about as cliche and generic as it comes, at least so far. The characters, it really does feel like all of it is just characters that were written by AI, and I'm really tired of giving that fucking criticism, but it does feel that way. They don't have any real personality. It also doesn't even really feel like the voice actors are trying all that hard to try and breathe life into the characters. It just feels like everything about this game is just going through the motions. So the game is a huge emphasis on stealth. But the stealth turbo ass, it super sucks. So you'll be oftentimes hiding in tall grass, because that's the extent of the stealth mechanics here. So you crouch in tall grass, you whistle to lure someone over, and then you do the stealth takedown, which I think is the stupidest takedowns I've seen in stealth games, where she basically pops out. The main character's name is Kay. So Kay will basically pop out and do this. Give them the fucking, knuckle sandwich here, insta KO them, or sometimes do like a gut punch into a haymaker, and then that's your stealth takedown. But sometimes when you're doing the stealth takedown from the bush like you're supposed to, it'll still alert the entire area, even if there was no one around to hear it. Like a fucking tree falling in the forest, but everyone somehow hears it despite not being in the forest. It's totally ridiculous. Right. Okay. And it's really inconsistent, because sometimes you'll do that, and if you get caught in a lot of these missions, it's an instant fail, so you have to do it again. And you'll do it again like Groundhog Day, and this time, magically, nobody sees you do it. So it's just kind of inconsistent with those mechanics.
Maybe it is actually a development that they put in on purpose. You get to do the game, you get to do that section, instant fail, but you have to go for the whole thing, instant fail, and then you do it again, instant pass, to make the game last longer. Conspiracy theory.
And what the AI sees and doesn't see. And sometimes the AI is just broken. So not every mission results in a failure if you don't do stealth. Sometimes you can go loud and, use your blaster. And I'll get to the combat in a minute. But sometimes in my playthrough, when I would go loud, the AI would just cease to function. Like, I'd stand right in front of somebody, and the AI would just be like, where are they? What's that noise? And just like shooting to the sides, or like shooting at where I was maybe 15 seconds ago. But even when everything's working as intended, it's still just not fun gunplay or combat. So you have your blaster, and you have a couple different modes you'll unlock for your blaster that do different things and excel in different situations. And you're just stuck with the goddamn noisy cricket the whole time, that little tiny blaster that looks like a toy. There is an ability to pick up better weapons from enemies that you kill, but it's temporary, and you drop them anytime you do another action, like climb a ladder or something, so you're just right back to the same blaster.
So if you can carry your blaster around with you the entire game, why could you not carry around someone else's blaster around the entire game? Why do you have to drop it when you climb something or something like that? That's a mechanic that would really, really frustrate me. If I got like a really cool weapon and I wanted to keep it, but then I had to choose between climbing up a wall and losing it, or not climbing up the wall and not being able to continue the game, then that's just a pain. That'd annoy me.
It's just, I don't know. I didn't have any
Yours was really
fun
buggy.
with it. Like, I don't think
Right,
it's
okay.
bad. Like, it's definitely serviceable, but I don't think serviceable warrants $70. Like,
No.
there's nothing in this game that I think it does really well. Other than one mechanic that I actually found myself enjoying far more than I would have expected to. And that's your animal companion, Nyx. You have a little minion with you, your sidekick, and you can have him do different things like solving some puzzles by having him go to switches or open things, or in combat you can have him like attack somebody or distract somebody or sabotage a barrel. And it's actually kind of fun to do that. And there are some cool combos you can do when you start integrating that little goober into the flow of gameplay. But everything else is just same shit, different toilet. I really was super surprised by how lackluster the story was. Now, again, I haven't finished it, so maybe it like gets really good towards like the end of the game or something. But man, by the time you reach there, I feel like most people have already checked out. I did a lot of exploring, trying to do a lot of side stuff because I thought maybe that's where like some really fun stuff would happen or some cool characters. But all the side stuff, man, it's just more of the same chore simulator shit. At least all the side activities I was trying to do. It's in the overall.
But to be fair, you don't have to do the side thing. You can just stick to the main mission. So if you're playing a game and you do a side thing and it's a bit naff and you think, well, that's a waste of time, maybe just try and play the whole game through with just the main core mission and just ignore all the side quests. Maybe that would actually make it a bit more exciting. My friend that he played it, he said he really enjoyed it. He said he couldn't understand why people got so against the game. But I mean, I've only seen a little bit of it. I've not really played it, so.
Overall narrative is just a very simple, predictable plot. And there is an idea here that I think could have worked really well with the reputation system, where you can have different reputation like the Huts or Crimson Dawn and all of that. But it just feels like unrealized potential with that because there's really no consequences. Like, let's say you ruin your reputation with the Huts. You go in there, you fist them, they're like, this lady stinks. Kay Vess is the worst. Put her wanted poster in.
Hang on, give me one moment. 1 second. Right, Starfield. That's the name. Was it Starfield that came out recently? That was that game? Yeah, it was Starfield, yeah. And who developed that? It's on Steam. Oh my god. Oh, it was Bethesda. Right, fair enough. I thought it was Ubisoft, but I was wrong. It was Bethesda. Sorry, my apologies. I'll hold my hand up. It sounds a lot like it though.
That's a kill on sight, barrier 6 feet under. Well, you can immediately kind of earn that reputation back and become their savior, their angel, by just doing like a couple of odd jobs. At least so far. Like, again, I can only speak for the handful of hours I've played, but at least so far you can kind of always get your reputation to where you want it really simply and very easily. So it doesn't matter all that much. Also, I will say there's another idea that I do think could have been cool, and that's the way they handle progression. So instead of just having like a normal talent tree or something, there's different people that'll teach you different things if you fulfill certain requirements. So like going out there and using a talk jutsu like Naruto, you can earn by doing 5 melee takedowns and 3 distracted enemy takedowns, and then you get the ability to do that. It's a cool idea. I do like that idea. It just would have been improved if the things you were earning were just better or just more fun to experiment with. But yeah, overall, I just wasn't enjoying my time with Star Wars Outlaws. I don't think it's an awful game per se.
Fair enough.
It's just the same game that I have experienced so many times already from Ubisoft.
It sounds like a very monotonous and quite tedious game, to be honest. From what he's saying, I don't think it's one I'd play.
I'm just so bored of it. They do try a few new things in here, so like flying through space. And that could definitely work if it wasn't Ubisoft making it. What ends up happening with flying through space, at least so far, is you just do the same shit. You really just do the same shit. You'll fly to like some treasure and loot it, and maybe you'll like shoot a couple of enemy fighters in the air, and then that's about it. There's not a
No.
whole lot of depth to that, at least not as far as I am here.
fair
But I
enough.
feel like after a handful of hours, if you're just not enjoying something, it's probably not worth just investing even more hours into it to force yourself to try and find some level of pleasure from it. So I'm not gonna push through Star Wars Outlaws. I'll just give you my thoughts on it as of right now. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.
Right, okay, so, yeah, I don't think I will give it a go. I don't think it's a game for me, to be honest. If you've played it, please put your comments below. Should I get the game? Should I try it? Is it a good game, in your opinion? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I want to know your thoughts on, is this a game I should be trying out? So, yeah.